Welcome back to episode 8 of Tech Tuesday. In this episode, I will finish the Pear Deck review I started in episode 5 and will complete our discussion of the Pear Deck features. This episode will focus on Flashcard Factory and ways to use Pear Deck in your curriculum. Again, if you feel comfortable with the material I'm covering today, you can skip ahead to the next segment of this episode at the time listed right here. Let's get started. Flashcard Factory is another fun feature of Pear Deck that allows students to work in a team-oriented environment to learn about vocabulary. They will work together to create the best example sentences and illustrations for the vocabulary terms, and then at the end of the game, you will review the submissions with the whole class and choose the final flashcard set, which you can then export to Quizlet without even having a Quizlet account. To set up the game, you will go to Pear Deck's website at www.peardeck.com and log in. On the dashboard, select Start a Vocab List and then add your own terms and definitions. You can copy and paste or type in your own, and you can use the dictionary feature in Pear Deck. When you're ready to start, click on Play Flashcard Factory. Students will be split into 2 teams, the day and night shifts, and then will be further split into groups of 2 players. Within the 2-player groups, one player will be the writer and the other the illustrator. Each will design their own example, then check it or fix it before moving on to the next word. When they receive the new word, the players will switch roles, and so on. As the groups finish, their examples will display on the assembly line belt being projected on the screen. There will be several examples of the same terms, as different groups will receive words in random order. When the game is finished, you will review the terms with students and together as a class decide which are the best representations, and then they will be approved or denied. The terms approved can be exported to Quizlet for more practice by students. Now you know all of the features of Pear Deck. Feel free to watch this series of videos as needed to refresh yourself throughout the year. Now I want to show you how you can take Pear Deck beyond being a presentation tool. Here are some ideas for how you can use it to get students connecting with your curriculum. In English and language arts, you can create draggables that allow students to interact with writing and practice their grammar, literally dragging commas and other punctuation to the correct place. Or use the draw tool to allow students to label what order a group of sample sentences should go in to create a paragraph. You could have a follow-up slide that also directs students to type a sentence of their own to finish the paragraph. Do you want students to show understanding of vocabulary in a very different way? Here's a set of slides that students could run through in student paced mode and show in a variety of ways their understanding of vocabulary in ELA 9. Now, I did not create this set of slides and can't seem to find who originally created it, but I do really like the variety of activity types in Google Slides. Or you could have students draw a line from the term to the correct definition, as Emily Stork has her students do. I like how visually appealing this slide is, leaving space for the terms and definitions, and how it clearly determines which is which. Now, this activity shows how students can implement other skills, such as art, to show what they visualize in passages from books or stories. You could also use lines from poetry. This would be great for when your class is reading the same novel, such as The Watsons Go to Birmingham, and choose a few passages to type into individual Google Slides, leaving room for students to draw what they visualize when they read it. As for history, science, and CTE STEM curriculums, you can use the draw tool to allow students to label diagrams. You could also have them circle the correct term to fill in the blank, as Miss Sokol HB did with her social studies students. You can also add boxes to the slides where students can type the correct terms being focused on, as this activity shows. Here, students are directed to type to label the 4 types of assembly constraints circled in the diagram below. Students can also complete a close reading and interact with text, as this activity from Twitter shows. The picture shows that on one slide in the activity, students were directed to underline the parts of the text that shows all of the things that cells do for us. There are many ways to use Pear Deck in math as well. Here's a quick exit ticket example from math teacher Jennifer Posey on Twitter, directing students to match the angle to the classification using the draw tool. At Washington Middle School in Berkeley County, South Carolina, students use Pear Deck for learning about integers, ordering numbers for where they belong on a number line using 0 for sea level. While at Northdale Central Public School in Dorchester, Ontario, Canada, students use Pear Deck to assess what they have learned about angles and the characteristics of quadrilaterals and triangles, listing everything they can using the text feature. I also like this example from Melissa Madison, allowing students to draw on a number line to solve word problems. Or you could use the draw tool to solve a big question. This example from medium.com shows how to introduce the concept of circumference by showing a picture and asking how many times will this ball roll down the hill. Students give an estimate first, and then on the next slide, draw on the picture the information needed to solve the problem. The article gives a great math tip as well. When puzzling out a problem, let students write out their work on a drawing slide with a blank canvas. This way, you'll be able to see their thinking as it's happening. You can also turn this work into a notes document for students to return to and review later. Health classes can get involved too. This idea from Twitter shows how engaged students were using the flashcard factory, saying engagement is through the roof. As a teacher, I can't wait to see what happens during the quality control phase. I just overheard a students working together to use physical dependence in a sentence and then illustrate it. With world languages, you could make a series of slides similar to that of Rosetta Stone, and in student paste mode, have students drag the dot to identify the correct terms. Or use this unique idea from Laura Martin, where students created speaking videos in Adobe Spark, and then I'm assuming linked the videos into individual Google Slides so that in a Pear Deck, they could evaluate the speaking and use the multiple choice option as a rubric and give feedback to their fellow classmates. That was a lot of ideas, and I hope it gives you some new ways to use Pear Deck beyond presenting new information. I'm excited about what I learned, and I'm going to turn this into a professional development opportunity for next semester, so keep an eye out for that. If you're still looking for more ways to use Pear Deck, check out their Orchard site that shares examples of how teachers are using Pear Deck. I'll put the link in the description below. Google has created new ways for students and teachers to create new files in all of its Google apps. Instead of creating files in Drive or going to the app's home screen, you can now create files with a number of quick URLs. Here's a rundown of the new URLs and a one-pager I created that you can also print for your classrooms. The link will be in the description below as well. Before I sign off, I want to announce that I'm looking for teachers who would like to guest star on a future episode and discuss a tool that they're using in class or an innovative project that they've done. please send me a tweet or direct message on Twitter, or send me an email at darcy.priester@npark.net if you're interested. Don't worry, if you've never done something like this before, I'll walk you through the ways that you can record, and you also don't have to show your face. You could do a screen capture instead. That's all for this episode and the last one of 2018. Happy holidays to everyone, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in 2019. How weird is that, right? I'll see you next time.